the questions to the professionals in that field. We're talking about the doctored abuse story yesterday that Evelyn Amboy and Lulu Hassan ran yesterday on Nipashe and on Sunday Live. And so today we have Peter Munge Murage, who is a legal consultant of the Kenya Medical Practitioners and Dentists Board. And we also have Dr. Daniel Yumbia, who is the CEO of the Kenya Medical... Oh, Mr. Daniel Yumbia. These are blessings for the future. Who is the CEO of the Kenya Medical Practitioners and Dentists Board. They are there with Mutegi Njau. And then on the other side, we have Dr. Jean Kagia, who is a consultant gynecologist with Kirigo Ngara. Now, before I toss it to Kirigo a little bit, then to Mutegi, it is important for you to get in touch with us because I'm sure there are a lot of questions that you have. So the hashtag to use today is doctored abuse. The hashtag is doctored abuse. We'll be showing on the screen right here a little bit shortly, and also remember our SMS platform is 22422. So, Kirigo.
I think we should first go to Mutegi Njau, where they can have that conversation, and then we'll come this side.
Let's start with the Mr., not Dr. Daniel Yumbia, who is the CEO of the Kenya Medical Practitioners and Dentists Board. He has been here a number of times, actually. I've interviewed him numerous times. I've even gone to his office when some doctor was suing us. Now, this doctor, the one who was on Citizen TV last night and this morning, is he a doctor?
Mutegi, thank you very much for giving us an opportunity to come and first of all put records right. Mugo is not a medical doctor. Mugo is not a gynecologist. In fact, as we speak now, doctors are happy numbs that their profession is being given a wide berth by some quack who is imposing himself as a doctor. I must explain that the Medical Practitioners and Dentists Board has a mandate to regulate the practice of medicine and dentistry. And as I've said here in the past, Mutegi, we do have registers, and these registers are on our website. So all registered medical and dental practitioners are already on our website. That gentleman does not appear in any of the registers. Now, for you to call him a gynecologist, I would say it was not fair, because you should have also checked with me. Because for a doctor to move to the level of a gynecologist, they do 5 years undergraduate, they become medical officers, they finish, they do internship for 1 year, that is 6 years, and they go for postgraduate another 3 years, that now gives to 9 years, and after 9 years they do another observation for 2 years before the medical board can classify them as gynecologists, like Jean Kagia is here with us. So that gentleman has never gone through those processes. And for you to say that a gynecologist rapes a patient, the gynecologists in this country are very disturbed, and they are very worried because they feel that you should have first of all checked with the board to find the status of this case. However, you also did good to educate the public. This is a case of somebody running an unlicensed facility. On the 17th of June, we sent a team led by Dr. Were and other health professionals, the Nursing Council of Kenya, the Clinical Officers Council, and the Laboratory Board. And this gentleman was arrested for running an unlicensed facility while he is unqualified, because he didn't produce any qualifications, and he was taken to Kasarani police station. That is why he was booked. He was due to go to court. Now, what I have done is that I've gotten in touch with the head of Special Crime Prevention Unit, and his officers are on the ground to do two things. One, to ensure that this guy is traced, so because we just want him in court. We don't want to give him mob justice. We just want him to explain in a court of law what reasons does he have to go and practice that which he has not studied for. That is one. Number two, my officers also are on the ground now trying to get the facility sealed off, because the fact that we closed it and they went back and reopened to offer services that is not qualified, and purporting that he doesn't offer the service, he has employed other qualified people. These people's qualifications must be checked. So
the place was initially from June supposed to have been closed.
Actually, the inspection report is here with me, and it's closed. It was inspected on 17th of June, and the report is here. And we even sent to the county. Nairobi County Health Management Team should make sure that the facilities which were closed, because we closed 38 facilities in Nairobi when we carried inspections between 17th and 19th of June this year. And all the facilities that were inspected are here. This report was forwarded also to the county. Its report is number 92. Number 92, Prestige Healthcare Level 4, Githurai 44, query qualifications of the owner, no license, personnel not licensed, lab not registered, facility closed. James Mugo was arrested for operating without a license. Lab officer was
James
also...
Mugo.
Yeah, that is the name that was captured on that. Yes, it's James Mugo. And prior to that, we had gotten a complaint from a patient who had been detained in the same facility. That's how we came to know about the existence of the facility. And he was detaining a patient, demanding a huge bill. And that is when we went to the ground, and the facility was closed. I must say that this is a criminal.
So whose failure is it that they placed from June it has been open?
I think
whose fault is it?
I think the county government takes a responsibility, because the medical board is oversight. We oversee the entire country, and what we do is that we go and inspect together with the other boards and councils, because this is not a member of the medical board. It's not a doctor. The facility is not licensed by the board. So this is a quack, and we have quack pastors, we have quack lawyers, we have quack drivers,
even quack journalists.
Even the quack journalists. So it's a responsibility for everybody. So if it's a quack, it's a quack.
Now,
you also have a responsibility over the quack.
Okay, fine. You have told me that you closed 30. How many facilities?
I said we closed 38 facilities in June. Every year, Mutegi, every year the medical board, together with the other boards and councils, the Clinical Officers Council, the Pharmacy and Poisons Board, Nursing Council, Radiation Protection Board, and the Public Health Officers, we carry out joint inspection. You are aware of that, and we even get coverage from your
my
team.
worry is this, and my concern is this: if this is open, how do I know the other 38 are not open also?
What we have
What
done,
guarantee is that they are not open and operating?
What guarantee you have is that we do have follow-up inspections, and you must know there are sometimes we also are in a problem, because sometimes we are chased even by the residents. Githurai is not a very safe place, I must tell you that. You can't send officers there without police. We get special crime prevention officers accompanying the teams, but the same period they were trying to inspect, they were not able to get into Mathare on 19th. They were turned away from entering Kibera, because the people there said that they didn't want to be inspected. Now, when the public also joins to discourage officers from carrying out their jobs, it becomes a problem. However, this facility, as we stand, should be closed. This facility, as we stand, need to be closed. And as we speak now, this gentleman has a case. We arrested him, and he has a case to answer. Now, the processes of the court are another challenge. As I said here before, the law should be reviewed. When you get people who are practicing medicine when they are not qualified, they should be given hefty penalties. But what does the law say now? 3,000 shillings, maximum 10,000 shillings. That is the penalty that is being given. So you give them this penalty, they reopen the following day, because this is what happens. And I gave you a case of the fellows we arrested in Uruma on a Thursday, caught in Kibera on Friday, given a penalty of 10,000, and Saturday they were open. Rearrested them again on Monday, and when we took them there, at least they were given custody.
Maybe as a lawyer you should tell what can you do about this matter? Because we are consulting for the Kenya Medical Practitioners and Dentists Board.
Yes, first of all, we appreciate calling us here this morning. I would appreciate, my brothers, if you had put a hashtag as quack doctors.
Not doctors.
Not doctors, because it is clear from the register, this is a quack. is not a doctor. And doctors go through a long training period. And when you demonize all of them on the basis of a quack, it is not good for the profession. Secondly, this is a criminal act. And being a criminal act, I know witnesses or patients would be fearing to come out because they think their names will come out. But the law has changed, and there's what we call witness protection agencies, and they should come to the board. We will assist them to be registered and under the program, and their identity could be changed, and they will assist us deal with these quacks. Okay. In terms of the law, that will pass it to the legislature, because what the law is now, the penalties that they are given is not that much, and probably should be hefty so that you cannot keep repeating such aspects.
Okay.
Alright, so of course, as we told you, the hashtag is Dr. Abuse. Let's take a look at what some of the people are saying here, and then we can also get the view from Dr. Jean. So, right, so we have one person here who says doctors, like you say, being a doctor is a noble profession, and so Dr. Mugo, so we don't call him doctor now.
Don't call him
Mr. Mugo. Mr. Mugo really did bad to that. Then we also say at Salim Nyaoga says hashtag Dr. Abuse, Mugo Wairimu the quack and should be an outcast. So those, remember, these are views of the people here. And then Edwin Kabui also saying Mugo Wairimu is not a registered gynecologist by Doctors Board. His facility is not licensed. He is a quack. And finally, it's have one here that also will get the view of Dr. Jean. Somebody says here, I don't know if this is the position, that is that Isituma or Idris Situma says the rule of thumb, women must see a gynecologist accompanied. Maybe we'll pick it from there as I take it to Kiriko.
All right, thank you. And with you, Dr. Jean Kagia, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Let's get into it. When I'm coming to see you as a gynecologist, what should I expect?
Thank you, Kirigo. When you come to see me as a gynecologist, I expect you to know that you are going to go to a qualified doctor who has the knowledge and the skills to treat your problem. So I want you to have done your research. You should know whether this is the kind of person who will be a morally upright person, because we are trained. We have taken a Hippocratic oath that we are not going to do anything that is going to be harmful to you. So if you know that somebody is qualified, somebody has got is practicing, then you should come with confidence. Yeah.
All right. You've talked about the issue of practicing. Should I be looking out for a license in your office to see, you know, that says you're authorized to see me as a gynecologist?
Yeah, actually that's a legal requirement. And as Mr. Yubia said, everybody has to have a license. And not only a license, it's not given a lifetime license. It's got to be reviewed and reviewed regularly and accompanied by extra knowledge, evidence that you are keeping abreast with the practices and the knowledge of medicine.
Yes.
So you are retained in a register.
Yes.
So it's a very strict kind of legal thing. And that it's actually displayed in an office. So if you go there and you don't see it, then the first thing you should ask yourself is, why isn't this person having a license?
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Okay.
You even have a number, which is, this is number so and so, number such and such, that is Dr. Kagia.
Yes.
She's licensed by the board.
Yes.
And that board has a code of conduct. So should I misbehave, you can actually go and report me to the same board and complain there. Yes, so the society needs to have a responsibility of finding out where they are going. Yeah.
A lot of feedback we got between today and yesterday and today. A lot of people saying, I think it's now time for men to accompany their women to when they're going to see the gynecologist. I'd like to hear what you have to say about that, knowing that it's usually a very private, you know, affair.
Yeah, thank you. I think you are giving a tall order, maybe for a small population of men who are able to accompany their wives. The majority may not even know that they could accompany their wives. Many of them may not be in a position to accompany their wives. If he's working in Mombasa, and the wife is in somewhere in Kisumu. He can't be going for the regular clinics with the wife. I think the main point here is not be suspicious of doctors, but no, does this person have a moral problem? The society has a big moral degradation, and therefore you'll find some people who are rotten apples in every profession. You may find somebody who is in the health profession, I'm not using the word doctor because I don't think he's a doctor, who will mishandle a patient. If that is the case, he's part of a bigger population which has no respect of women or girls. They have no moral boundaries, and therefore they go ahead and do such a thing. So saying that the presence of a man in form of a husband would help to protect his wife, I don't think that is the issue. The issue is, are we having people who know their morals and who will abide to them and who will have their boundaries? If somebody is going to play around with a woman, particularly a gynecologist, they can do that behind the screen.
Yes.
While the husband is sitting on the seat there. So it's not an issue of the presence of a husband or a relative. It's a presence of, are these people abiding with the moral conduct that is expected? Are they professional? And if they're not, report them to the board.
Yes.
And action will be taken.
Yes.
But let us not put a bracket that gynecologists are like this.
Are like this or like that.
And I feel very strongly about it, because if now it goes that a male gynecologist violated a woman, people can start saying that all the men gynecologists are not safe with your wife.
Yes,
that's not right. Yeah, we do. Not that we want all the patients to come to us, women gynecologists, but we are part of a profession, and we are all professional. So let us not think that bringing somebody in is going to solve the problem. It's which individual are you dealing with?
Yes.
What kind of a person?
Yes.
Do your research.
Do your research.
Do your research.
Okay, we'll come back to you in a few minutes, because we also need to understand where this particular quack was found. The area is one that is low-income earners, and gynecologists tend to be a bit expensive, a bit on the higher side in terms of consultation. So I'll come to you and a bit later just to find out what we need to do and how we need to go about that. But now let's head over back to Willis Raburu. I'm hearing there are some people who had their views aired.
Yeah, right, and just two more people still reacting, and rightly so, saying, I can see I keep Ngeno Richie saying, this guy has brought a big shame to well-respected Kenya's medical field and should pay dearly for this. Waiting to see, as are other Kenyans as well. But speaking of Kenyans, we sought the views of some of them about this particular story. Let's take a look at what they had to say.
Sioni tatizo kwamba napoandamana mke wangu kwenda hospitalini nimeandamana na kwa sababu ya kukwepa unyanyasaji wa kimapenzi ambao unaendelea. Kwa wengine ambao hawakuzoea, mpaka wapewe elimu, waione kwamba kwanza hiyo ni kawaida na ni vizuri, na pia itakuwa inawapatia ile picha, taswira ya kwamba hawa watu wako pamoja.
Wakati ninapoenda hospitalini natafuta huduma nitibiwe. Kwa hivyo ni nini kile ambacho kitanifanya tena, ama ni nini nitakuwa nacho na uoga nacho mpaka niandamane na mzee aweze kunipeleka hospitali? Nitaandamana na mzee wakati siwezi kutembea, anishikilie ama anisaidie katika hali yangu ya afya. Lakini siwezi kuandamana na mzee ili akaweze kuwa kama kinga wa kunikinga mimi kwa sababu ya masuala ya unyanyasaji. Lazima mimi kama mama, mimi kama mgonjwa nijue haki yangu. Niko na haki ya kutibiwa peke yake, na hakuna mengine yale ambayo yataendelea mahali pale. Na mimi kama mama, wakati kuna chochote kile kitaendelea kwa upande wa unyanyasaji, kunyanyasiwa kwa upande moja ama ingine, sitaweza kukubali na sitanyamaza. Ikiwa nimenyanyasiwa mara moja, siwezi nyamaza, kwa sababu najua leo nimenyanyasiwa mimi, kesho atanyanyasiwa mwingine.
Kama ni bwanangu ambao tunashare mambo mengi kwa nyumba, sioni vibaya kwenda naye hospitali. Naona ni jambo muhimu sana kuandamana na bwanangu kwenda naye hospitali.
Upande wa matibabu ipo haja ya kwamba mimi kama bwana wa mtu, bibi yangu kama anaenda hospitali, lazima niandamane naye kwa sababu ya kuhofia ile hali ya kubakwa katika hospitali. Bali hali ambayo imekuweko na iko. Kwa hivyo kwa sababu ya hofu lazima niandamane naye ili nihakikishe ameenda ampate matibabu vizuri bila kudhulumiwa, na nimerudi naye akiwa ni mzima.
Mimi kama mama sioni haja ya kuandamana na mume wangu ila ningependa kufanyiwa haki, na ikiwa nitatendewa maovu niende kuambia mume wangu, na ikiwa nitaandamana na mume wangu haina haja ya kwenda kwa hiyo hospitali, maana haina uaminifu. Maana hata zile dawa zenyewe utapewa huwezi pewa, maana mumeo huwezi pona, maana uko nusu nusu. Bwana yuko hapa, daktari yuko hapa, na kila kitu kinaenda kwa imani. Sina imani na huyu daktari.
Kuna haja sana, itabidi kwa ile hali vile ilivyofikia, itabidi mara nyingi uwe ni ulazima ufuatane naye ili ujaribu ili tatizo lisitoke. Japokuwa ni kwa ugumu, ukiangalia utaacha mambo yako mingi, lakini itabidi ufanye hivyo.
Those are the different views there. Remember, you can keep talking to us on 2242 and the hashtag Dr. Abuse. Of course, arguments and counter-arguments for accompanying and not accompanying. But I want to toss it back to Mutegi Njau to continue. Mutegi?
There is a few, I think it was last year, you came here to the breakfast show and you showed us a document which was called the Patient's the document.
Patient rights.
The Patient's Right Charter.
Yes.
And that's what many of the people who have talked were referring to. Haki yao na imani. This document, how widespread is it and how much do Kenyans know about it?
I think, Mutegi, we agreed with you that we shall partner. And you are yet to invite me to Kameme to come and talk about patient rights. This document was developed in the year 2013. It has, in connection with this case which is ongoing, 3 rights which the patients have to understand. 1, the patient has a right to choose a health care provider without being influenced, provided there is a caution to that. That person is qualified, registered and retained in the register and is of good standing with the regulatory authority. Now, this is one area where the patients have already said niko na haki ya kuchagua hospitali yenye ningependa kwenda. On this rider, I would like to appeal to patients to choose wisely. In every case, let me finalize.
In this case, the treatment was free.
You see,
leaflet saying you go there, you get free treatment.
You see, that is inducement. That is inducement. What I'm saying is that they must see that the institution is licensed. There is an institutional license and a practitioner's license. It was a resolution of the medical board this June that now we shall give institutional licenses, and individual licenses will have the doctor's photo, so that we do not get anybody impersonating. Because we have had cases where you walk into a facility, somebody pretends to be a clinical officer. The minute you ask them from the clinical officer's council a license, they say they are a nurse. The minute the nursing council appears, they change their lab people. So we have now had to resolve that all the health regulatory bodies, by the beginning of the year, every health worker will have a personal identification, which patients can ascertain whether the photo on the card and the person do correspond. That is one right. The other right is right to informed consent to treatment. Dr. Kagia has explained in detail. The medical profession has its own practices, and the doctors do know that they have to talk to patients and explain certain procedures. So patients must give consent. If a patient is going for examination, physical examination, which will involve going to the extent of undressing, the patient is given that explanation. And doctors do this all the time. Male doctors are chaperoned. We advocate that as a board, that when females go to see males in the gynecological setups, they need to have a chaperone around, so that the patients also get confidence. And I think
chaperone means who?
A nurse. But we advocate particularly a health professional, and doctors keep nurses in their facilities who are qualified to assist the patients in times of need. I think Kagia would comfortably give details into that. Now, so when patients are going, I saw that patient was being put into sleep I mean, it's not allowed in an outpatient facility to put patients to sleep. Anesthesia is given in an hospital setup, general anesthesia, given by an anesthetist who is qualified, or an anesthetist clinical officer who is trained to do that job, and they know and they monitor the patient in terms of the treatment. So consent is key. The third patient right which I'm talking about here is right to complain. When we get complaints, and I've explained in the past the processes we do, if even you, citizen, informed me that you are investigating this, I am telling you, if that gentleman was in the clinic, I would have gotten him arrested. Let us partner. If you have investigative stories, because now getting this quack is going to be a big challenge, because he may go under, but he may run, but you cannot run forever. We shall still get him, and of course we are now not getting him on medical, operating a clinic without a license. This is a criminal offense. He is accused of rape, and that the police are working on. And for us, because he is allegedly doing it in a medical setup, then we take that up. But I'm appealing to patients who may have complaints, the genuine complaints, to launch the complaints to the board, whether the patients have been mismanaged or they have been mistreated or they feel that they are not satisfied with the services, that we can handle. But now, yes,
this patient who was raped, she was given drugs and she was supposed to be tested, so she was sedated. Patients normally do not know they have a right to question doctors. For instance, is it offensive if I ask a doctor, what is your name, if they don't have a label here? Because a lot of people claim to be doctors and they are clinical officers. Can I demand to be told this doctor is so and so?
It's your right. Let me tell you that
because the doctors get offensive.
There is the misuse of the title doctor. Anybody putting on a white coat is a doctor. In the village where we come from, we all come from, anybody putting on a white coat is a doctor. And we have discussed this with the Director of Medical Services, and I think a circular is coming out, not because of this case. It was also resolved in our board meeting for June, that a circular will go to all health workers in this country. They must have badges. They must have badges, Mutegi, and as you walk into a facility, you must know who is who, where. And that badge must have a name, so that you know a clinical officer, a nurse, a lab person, and even a gynecologist for that matter. You'd know the difference between a gynecologist and a medical officer, because even interns are doctors. But you see, the badge must read medical officer intern, so that you know you are being handled by an intern who is under training. If it's a gynecologist, Dr. So-and-so, gynecologist. That is what we resolved. And these are some of the changes that you are going to see in terms of assisting patients to get information from the healthcare workers or the healthcare givers who attend to patients, because patients have a right to not only know the person that is attending to them, but they should also be explained the procedures before the procedures are undertaken. Not only the procedure, but they should also be told the expected challenges that may come, complications that may come. And this we have done through continuing professional development. We have continuous professional development workshops that are done by the Kenya Medical Association and the professional associations. They keep on, doctors keep on upgrading their skills and knowledge. And these are interactions that we encourage doctors to attend.
Can I go back to Raburu?
We are still welcoming your views and reading some of them here on the hashtag Dr. Abuse. So we have Tony Mwangi here who says police presence should be there. That is at the guy's clinic for now. And then somebody says for our mothers and sisters to be safe, Mugo should be, I'll just say, use a very strong word there at Elaine Wakesha, but I'll just say Mugo should face the law. Let me just use that word to replace what you said. And then also there's a question here that maybe I want to throw to the legal consultant. Somebody's asking, how sure are we that we will get justice when we come and report to the board? What is the process?
Firstly, this is a country that is governed by the rule of law. And as citizens of this country, we must trust on our legal system. We must trust on them. And we cannot demonize the whole system. There's a lot of good cases that are prosecuted very well by the DPP, and they are good results. So we'll encourage people who have complaints in this matter and on any other matter. Let them come forward, even if it's against doctors. It's important to appreciate that the Medical Practitioners and Dentists Board has a very elaborate disciplinary system. And at times we demonize and don't appreciate what we have. We've seen people go to benchmark in Singapore and any other countries. But what we don't appreciate is that in the medical sector, a lot of people in Africa come to benchmark with Kenya and don't understand how we do our disciplinary system. We have an elaborate system that has gone to the county level. So people should be free, let them come and bring complaints to the board. We will take them up and we will deal with them very fairly.
I think I can add on something. we were accused of protecting the doctors. Mutegi and I was here 3 years ago when you said that the doctors sit on their own, they looked at their colleagues and they make decisions. We listened to that. We went to South Africa, benchmarked, and we realized that South Africa have gotten a committee which is composed of lay persons who sit there. And we came and with his help, we reviewed our regulation. We established a professional conduct committee. This professional conduct committee, Alice Mongera, who was here with me the other time, sits in that committee representing the public. And she is not there permanently. We can still get another member of the public to sit if the case, we feel that the case needs somebody in a different specialty who is not a medic. And initially we used to say that cases are, once we hear the case, because of course inquiries are in camera, but the results, the outcome is public. So we never used to communicate what we have done. We would sit in the boardroom and hear 7 cases and we close and go. And people asking, what have you decided? We say the practitioner and the complainant are aware of the outcome. But these days we give the ruling in open. When the professional conduct committee sits in a given county and we have had 2 cases or 3 cases, the judgment is given on one day. And we get the media and we go through. And we have done this in about 7 counties now. We did in Nyeri, we did in Bugoma, Trans Nzoia, we did in Kisumu, we did in Kisii, we've done in Nairobi 2 cases. And we have done this in open inquiry in camera, but decisions given in public, so that the public confidence can also be built that there are a lot of good things that are happening and the punitive measures are being taken. Some of the punitive measures we take include retraining practitioners, and when we get cases that are professional in nature, we handle them professionally, but we don't negotiate with the quacks. I mean, I always say that the only place I can negotiate with a quack like the one you are talking about is in the court of law. So let's go to court. Let me say face this quack. Let him prove his documents. Let him show us who gave him a license. And then we'll deal the part of the license. Let now the DPP deal with the issue of the rape. That's another issue altogether. So basically, patients and the Kenyan people should have confidence in the processes that we use because they are open. And if you want to see what decision we made against a particular case, Mutegi, we can give you that provided that the case has been determined. We only don't discuss cases that are ongoing for of course, what you would say, what would you call it in law?
Breach of confidentiality.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Well, of course, we so much to talk about on the other side, but we also want to cross over to Kerigo, who is with Dr. Jean Kagere, is a consultant genealogy.
Gynecologist.
The gynecologist. And then we also have some more questions later for Tegi Spana.
Yes. Dr. Kagere, one of the reasons we'd say this happens or happened is because most people will say going to a proper hospital, or what is considered a proper hospital, a proper clinic, is very, very expensive. What do you think needs to be done so then all of us can have easy access? We can all walk into Dr. Kagere's office and not expect a very high bill at the end of it, because a lot of these quack doctors come up, you know, they see a gap They know these people don't have, any clinics. Let me open something. I'm cheaper, much cheaper. You see, on the flyers they were saying free ultrasounds on Saturdays. What do we need to do?
Yeah, thank you very much. I think when you look at health care, it's in two parts. We have the public care that is given with the hospitals, and I think it's very good now that we have devolution, so that before you had a few very qualified doctors in gynecologists in fewer places, but now with the devolution, we are hoping that you'll be able to get all these specialists going down to even closer to the people than what they had before. Two, and then there is the private healthcare services. When someone goes to see a private practitioner, they know that that's not going to be for free.
Yes, of course.
So, making that choice that I'm going to a private doctor is because I know I'm going to afford whatever I'm going to be given. That is one. The other, that group is the faith-based organizations. We have mission hospitals, we have Islamic hospitals, all those which are in between in terms of the cost, where the government is cheaper, then you have the faith-based, and then you have the private. And that's a personal choice. When you look at the care, it's in two parts. There is emergency care, and there is a regular care. That one is given. When it is emergency and life-threatening, you find that someone will run to the nearest place which you give them care so that they are rescued from death, whatever it is. And you hope, if it's something which is not affordable, they can be given the emergency care, and then they'll be referred to where they can afford. When it comes to the regular care, where one needs to be investigated and all that, they need to choose now. Let's say I have a bleeding problem, abnormal bleeding problem. I'm going to require investigations. I'm going to require maybe surgery or all that. I look at it and say, am I able to afford this in this particular place, in the faith-based? Am I going to go to the government? Am I going to go to the private? So that the issue of cost should not be the thing that will make people decide, I'm going to a quack because a quack is cheaper.
Yes.
That quack may not give you the care you need. And I think people need to take confidence in our healthcare services. The healthcare services that are given by the public institutions is good. And some of the great work that is done in this country, let's say in areas of surgery, in areas of intervention, you can find them in public hospitals, which are comparable to what is done outside the country.
Yes.
We have had people who have had open heart surgery. Transplants are being done. Cancers are being treated. So let us not just think that because we have public service, it is cheap and not good.
Yes, that's what most people think. That private is better.
That's a fallacy. Two, we have what we call private practice, or people who are already working with the government institutions or the universities. Those are part-time private practitioners, and they are licensed by our board. That doctor will give you the same skilled kind of care in a public hospital as they'll give you in a private hospital.
Yes.
So you still have a choice.
Yes.
If you want to go to the private, know that you're going to pay this person a bit much more.
Yes.
Also, depending on the institution. But you need to know that there are different institutions. If you are going to a big hospital, which is going to charge you, let's say, something like 100,000 or 1 million, and you could have the same thing done in a smaller place where you're going to pay, instead of 1 million, you're going to end up 200,000 because you still want to go to private. It's for you to know who is going to give the care and where am I having the care without risking your life. Because you may choose a small place where in case of an emergency which can occur during the treatment, they are not able to cope with that. And by the time they transfer you to a place where there's a facility, you are not going to be alive.
Complications.
More complications.
We start to come complications, then you could be dead.
So I think what we need to do is for the public to know, the society to know, that there are different types of healthcare services which are offered in the country.
Yes, and it's up to us to decide.
For you to know is what kind of a problem do you have and who is going to give that problem. If you have a service for a gynecologist and you go to a medical officer to sort out your problem. Then if you get complications, you have gone to the wrong person.
Yes, of course.
And people people should also be ready to even get into what we call insurance schemes, so that instead of having to pay a very big bill at the end, you can still go to some of these levels and get good care at an insurance scheme. So it's not just a question of walking into a hospital and complaining you had a bill of 1 million. Did you do your homework well?
Did you do your homework?
Because your care is not an emergency care. You
It's
are
regular
getting
care.
it's a regular problem, which you can take time to find out, consult. There'll be referral. You can be referred to places. If you go to a doctor and they tell you this operation is going to cost you 200,000 shillings, you can ask, is there anywhere else I can have this thing done at an affordable price that I can?
This is my budget.
And the doctors will always tell you. They will. Doctors are honest, by the way.
They're honest. I like
People think
that.
doctors just look for money.
Yes.
But doctors are honest.
They'll be able to refer you.
They live in this country. They know the economic problems. They know if I push you into that hospital and you can't even pay my bill, I might lose my bill and you might be detained. So, and they are human.
At the end of the day.
At the end of the day, they are human. They come from families. They know the challenges. So let us not put doctors in a particular area where we think all they want is money from you and not give you care. They are, first of all, doctors in this country, both in private and public. Most of them are very well educated. The standards of care that they give is not Kenyan standard. It is international standards. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
International standards.
We need to move on, Dr. Kagea. There's one question I just want to ask you before we head over to Willis Raburu. We saw in that story that, you know, these patients are going and they say how they're feeling. I have a headache, I have, you know, a tummy ache. And then he gave them a drug, tablets, that they swallowed. You know, the question then, at what point do we start suspecting things are going wrong inside, you know, the doctor's room?
Things like somebody is mishandling.
Yes.
If you go with a headache, you know, we make our diagnosis from history. You tell me what is wrong with me. What is wrong with you? And then out of my knowledge, I'm likely to have various diagnoses. Then I'll examine you. And from the examination, I may say, I need a confirmation from a test to know what I'm suspecting, whether what I'm suspecting is what is happening to you. And then with that, I come with a diagnosis, and then I'll go to the management. However, there are times when you may come with something which is almost obvious from your history, and the examination that they may not take you to a laboratory, and they'll give you what you call the first line of treatment. And if that first line of treatment doesn't work, then when you come back, they'll do a little bit more. Again, in terms of cost, in terms of the facility, and where they are. If you went in with a headache, and you are being examined, and somebody is doing another examination, maybe in the reproductive areas in a very interesting way, then you should be able to be suspicious, and you should ask the doctor, by the way, I didn't complain of that area, why are you examining me? There may be gynecologists who will tell you, and they should have told you earlier, by the way, we screen for cancer of the cervix. I would like to do a pap smear on you. And that's why consent is important, and education. That way he may intrude into that area, although you had a headache. But he should not get in, he or she should not get into that area until he's explained to you that this is what I'm going to do, and these are the implications.
So there needs to be an explanation.
So communication with the patient is very, very important. And for them to say, yes, you can examine me.
And I also need to be willing to ask questions.
Fortunately, fortunately, by the way, we have two groups of Kenyans now. We have the old thought, which is very analog. We have the new lot, which is digital. Who will have, because they had a headache, will have gone and seen a doctor called Google. They'll have Googled, and they'll come with a diagnosis to you. And whatever you try to tell them, they are still hanging on to the diagnosis they got.
Dr. Google.
And that makes the doctor's life very difficult, because you're trying to use all the evidence you have, and you're trying to rub off these misdiagnoses on themselves. So that is one group. Then there are the others who I'm going to see a doctor. He knows everything. So whatever he tells me, it's okay. And they'll be compliant with the treatment you give, with the investigations that you offer. So when you look at the kind of patients we have, the response will be completely different. Yeah, but the people should be knowledgeable. People should know that you have a right to ask questions. These days, there are no secrets about conditions. You need to tell them. Of course, except in areas where you may have a disease which you are not supposed to reveal to another person, because we still have medical confidentiality.
Yes, of course.
Where you don't go sharing everything about everybody, whatever they are. But even at that, you'll be able to explain to this person, because of medical confidentiality, I will not tell anybody else, even if it's your spouse, about this. Can he come and we discuss this thing and you tell them yourselves? So with communication, you find even that people, by the way, people are intelligent. They let us
of course.
And they'll consent.
Yes.
So I think it's a question of us keeping on now educating our people, moving them from the analog to the digital. Not to go to the Google, but to trust their doctors.
All right. Ellis Ramburu, you being digital.
All right, me being digital, I read a few comments here on the hashtag Dr. Dabi. Somebody says the story was so traumatizing and shocking. Somebody asking for the doctor to be summoned and taken to the court of law, like Mr. Daniel there had said. But there's also a very interesting question here, so in 22422, that I want to read from Tom, who is watching us from Buruburu, and he's asking, and he's alluding to the fact that earlier you had said that the board had actually recommended for the clinic to be closed. So he's asking, what then was the problem? Is it follow-up? Is it you're not getting backup from the police? Or what is the problem? If the board, I mean the clinic was still open even after you recommended it to be closed. Then
you had explained that one.
Yes,
I can do it again.
I think what I explained is that people are on the ground to ensure compliance. What we normally do, because we are an oversight board, we oversee the entire country. Once we have recommended closure, we give a copy of this closure to the county government, and we expect them to ensure that people comply. But that is one area that we need to check, because this guy was operating without a license. His qualification, in fact, when we went there, the team went there, he also did the same way. They locked themselves inside. But we went and got the police, and the police threatened to blow the thing, and they opened up, and he was arrested and taken to the police stations. That we are following up, because the processes of the court, as the lawyer will explain, is that it's one thing to arrest, another thing to get somebody to court, and another thing to get the person sentenced. But what Dr. Kagia was saying is that people are not going to these quack clinics because of lack of knowledge. I must say the government has done its best to establish health facilities across the region. When CDF was established, every member of parliament went out of the way to establish CDF clinics. I call them CDF clinics because they were built, and after building this, when they came to the ministry to say, now give us personnel. And the Ministry of Health advertised for nurses and clinical officers, and they recruited and sent them to these facilities. Even in the informal settlement areas, there are facilities that are there. So I'm appealing to people, instead of going to a clinic that is suspicious, please go to the government facilities. They are there. Go to the well-established private practice facilities. And in private practice facilities, we have one, outpatient facilities. If you feel that you need to go to an inpatient facility, choose wisely. And of course, we also have specialist facilities where you get gynecologists and the physicians who are doing specialist examination. But I also want to put it to you and to Kenyans that the licensing agencies or the regulatory framework in Kenya is such that the Clinical Officers Council gives licenses for outpatient services to all the clinical officers. They are not licensed by the medical board. They are licensed by the Clinical Officers Council. The Nursing Council of Kenya also licenses nurses to offer outpatient services. And the lab board licenses laboratory standalone laboratories and laboratory technicians and technologists. And the Pharmacy and Poisons Board also licenses entirely all the pharmacies in the country.
Now that you mentioned them,
yes.
Pharmacists, there's a lot of medical treatment going on in pharmacies and chemists.
Actually,
a lot of people walk to shops.
Yes.
Say, I'm suffering from this. And the pharmacist or the quack who is there, because even those ones, you don't know whether it's a pharmacist or a nurse or somebody. They will give you, say, I'm coughing, and they'll give you some treatment.
Yeah, I think Mutegi, that's
There's a lot of that happening.
That's a fact. We have resorted
the medicine that is supposed to be prescribed.
We have discussed with the Pharmacy and Poisons Board, and we have discovered some quack pharmacists, pharmaceutical technologists, who even have consulting clinics at the back of the pharmacy. The pharmacy in front is a pharmacy. At the back there is a side lab, and there is also a consulting room. These are some of the things that make us go together as a team to carry out joint inspections. And when we go for joint inspections, we close in on these people. But I'm appealing to Kenyans to stop self-prescription.
It's rampant.
But Mutegi, you are the same people going to tell the pharmacist, I need cough syrup and I need that one. You don't even know the name when you are pointing, and you say you need that, and the pharmacist must be firm enough to say that you need a prescription. We went for a conference in South Africa for international medical regulatory authorities, and one of a senior consultant here in Nairobi developed a complication, and he wanted some medication, and because he's a practitioner, he went and prescribed for himself and gave it to a chemist. The guy told him, no, you cannot get this prescription. You must go and get our local doctor to prescribe. And he knew exactly what he needed, and there was nothing else we could do. We had to go and queue in a clinic, get a prescription from a registered and in South Africa, drugs cannot come out of the shelf unless they are associated with a practitioner who is already retained. That's where we are moving to. So we are saying pharmacists also should stop giving drugs that require prescription unless they have a prescription.
How many people who have got gout or BP go through a doctor? They just go and they know what they take. They go with the old one and they go and get it. Because you know you've got gout.
That's why we are here, and we are telling them the gout you had yesterday may have developed to a different level today, and that's why you need to go and pay Dr. Kagia. She looks at you, examines you, and gives a fresh prescription. Whether she reduces the drugs or she changes the drugs, that is another issue altogether. But Kenyans are prone to going to pharmacies and impressing on them or insisting on getting self-medication.
Dr. Kagia told us that doctors are very honest people. They are honest, they are human beings. They are good people. I'm not sure about that. How many doctors these days, when women get pregnant, they have to give birth? Because a doctor is a young man and is building a house, decides that instead of a normal birth, watafanya cesarean. How many of them do that?
I think I would go to Kagia's side and say doctors are very considerate. One, there is no case in the board of a doctor who has been brought to us having initiated a cesarean section process to a patient who required normal delivery.
Why is it
that
we don't have? There are so many cesareans.
I think Kagia and the group may be able to tell us, but what I must say is that ladies are also having a choice. They can also choose when they will deliver. In fact, I heard from somewhere that one said my birthday must coincide with my child, and therefore my child will be delivered on the day I was born, so that we celebrate birthday together. I mean, I don't need to do 2 birthdays. People decide when, how they're going to deliver, and that one is still with their rights. As a board, we cannot regulate that.
Okay. We're good to Rabu.
All right. Very interesting conversations there that we're having. Of course, unfortunately, because of time, we want to start winding up, and we want to get a few, maybe the last views from our legal consultants pertaining most of the matters that have been discussed here. What is your final words to Kenyans?
My final comment is that the story that was aired is very disturbing. But that story will end there as a story unless some steps are taken. For it to succeed and for the office of the DPP to succeed, there must be evidence. So I would appreciate if citizens can agree for its staff to go and record statements and be witnesses. For the patient who was aired on TV, let her be free to come to the board. We will ensure that her identity is protected. any other witnesses in that case, let them come over. Because for there to be success, there must be evidence on the table.
Legally, can the video be used as evidence?
The video can be used as evidence. We need it. And we need it, and we will. They should come to the board.
When you say the witness come to the board, why is that they're supposed to come?
The offices of the board are on Woods Road, opposite China's embassy, next to DOD. We will be ready to take their statements.
Lenana Road?
Lenana Road junction, off Lenana Road at that junction. Yeah. Let them be free. Any other witnesses in this case or any other case, they should be free to come. These matters will be handled with a lot of confidentiality, and if their hearings, they will be done in camera. So they should not fear. They should not fear that their identity will be known. No. It will be done on camera, and let them have faith in the judicial system in this country.
All right.
And Dr. Kagia, we also want to hear your final words in regards to this whole story. You being a gynecologist, a lot of women now could get scared, could be scared, may never want to see, even go to a man, a male gynecologist. So your final words?
Yeah, thank you very much. My final word is we're dealing with a society with moral degradation, whether it is in the health profession or any other. And therefore, we'll be having a few people who will come in and spoil the whole profession. Two, I think it's cause for everybody to be vigilant in finding out what kind of care am I getting and who is giving me the care. And if you're not satisfied, we have regulatory institutions that one can go to, and they are not biased. And finally, I think our society needs to trust and have confidence in the properly qualified and the skilled local doctors. And three, I am very, very happy about devolution, because people are going to get healthcare services reaching where they are. And let us support the government to make sure that this process actually goes on without too much complaining. Yes.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Kagia, for that. Willis Roburu, I hand it back to you.
All right. So that we come to the end of this particular interview. Of course, thank you so much for your comments on the hashtag Dr. Abuse. Like you've seen, there are so many of them coming. A topic that really continues to be discussed and a point of discourse. And we thank Peter Munge Morage, Daniel Yumbia and Dr. Jean Kagia for coming as well to give us some thoughts on that. So right now we want to end it there, but remember you can keep the conversation going and also take heed to what the legal consultant said. If you've been a victim and if you have any other evidence, report to the Kenya Medical Practitioners and Dentists Board. They are opposite the Chinese Embassy next to DOD here in Nairobi, and so you can contact them there. But for now though, we want to get on with some more music. We still have two more things before we wrap up the entire show, so we're going to toss it over to Carl.